Hello, everybody. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. We talk all things talent in Connecticut. And on today's show, I'm pleased to have another Woodland Hawk. I had Zach Drury on a couple weeks back in the beginning of the season. And now I have a sophomore right-handed pitcher who will be going to Bryant in a couple years from now, Michael Belcher. It's great to be able to have him on the podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate coming on.
You know, Mike, obviously your time with Woodland, we'll get into obviously this season. But before we get into that, I want to ask you, uh, how did baseball find you?
Well, I mean, my brother, I don't know if you know my brother, Matt Belcher. He was a senior. He's a freshman now in college. He was always around the game when he was young. My dad coached him. So going to when he was young, going to his games, it was like, I want to be on that field one day. So just getting into T-ball, like the little things, I was like, okay, like this is my sport. And I played basketball too, but I knew baseball was going to be my avenue.
Now, your older brother, was he the catcher?
Yeah.
I think I had him on last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I had him on, and I had Zach, and I had the who I thought at the time was left-handed, but he was right-handed, but he acted like a lefty. The it may have been he's at a post grad school now, I think, or something. Yeah,
Cameron Heeman. Yeah.
he's funny, very
Mhm.
nice kid, but very funny. But yeah, I you know what, that name, now that I look at him more, I'm like, that name is familiar. So now that makes sense.
He was, yeah, he caught last year.
Now I think if I remember right too, your brother wanted to fly, correct? He wanted to fly planes, right?
Yeah, he's at Bridgewater State right now.
And how's he doing? I know real quick. I know this is about you, but how's your brother doing?
He's good. He's up there. I mean, obviously they're closing up right now. He's coming back, I think Monday or something. But he's good. He likes it up there. You know, he misses baseball obviously, but he's doing what he wants to do in life, which is good.
Well, good for him. And tell him I said hello. I'm sure he doesn't remember me, but tell him I said hello anyway.
Yeah.
So you talk about obviously kind of like watching your brother and your dad being around the game and such, and you being able to play multiple sports. As you were growing up, was the game of baseball something that I know it got to you at an early age, but sometimes other sports come into play and you start kind of falling in love or liking those a little bit more. Is that the case, or was baseball just like, that's my number one? I could play other sports, but it doesn't matter. I'm married to baseball.
I always was a basketball guy too. You know, I mean, watching football. Obviously, I mean, everyone loves watching football. So I went into flag football, see what that was about, but I didn't like that. So I went into basketball. I think fifth grade, and I was like, okay, like this is cool. I played at the middle school level. Played last year for the high school team, the freshman team. But I realized like baseball is what I have to do. Like lifting 24/7. I have to focus on baseball in order to play at the next level.
And when you were able to put more focus into baseball, did you notice your game start to improve maybe a little bit more because of the focus strictly on baseball?
Yeah, going into this offseason, my main goal was to work on my off-speed pitches. Last year, I was just grooving fastballs, and it was working. But I knew going to the next level, I have to develop off-speed. So going into the off season, just working on my curveball, slider, changeup. That was the biggest part. I didn't have to worry about basketball 6 days a week, just doing that, and I could see it this season. Now it's like, wow, I could throw an off-speed pitch.
Now you talk about the off-speed pitch, the curveball, the changeup. Typically in high school, the changeup is not a pitch that's really focused on because obviously curveballs are thrown a lot more. Is that the same case for you? Which pitch was ahead, the changeup or the curveball for you?
A changeup always. I developed a changeup, I think when I was 12, 13 years old, and I realized that like getting the grip for it was so key. And I actually like talking with many coaches that played at the higher level. It was like if you have a changeup, it's the most effective pitch because everyone looks for the curveball spin, the slider spin. No one expects anything to come into a righty like that slow. So they said that's the biggest pitch you can have in your arsenal.
Now, how do you throw your changeup?
I have a circle change. So it's my middle finger and my index finger on the seams, and then I make a circle, obviously, on the left-hand side of the ball.
Now, is that a pitch that, because I know a lot of times with younger pitchers trying to find something that works for them, they, go through various grips. I know
Mhm.
the circle change, the split change, the Vulcan change. Was it for you just that, once you found that one grip rather, you were set?
I was set with the circle change from a young age. Even when I was on the smaller diamond, I was throwing, and I was like, all right, I'm getting like way less velocity on it, and it's moving. So I was like, I'm gonna stick with it. Got to the big diamond, and it's continued to work. So I've stuck with it.
And with that change of being a right-hander, typically, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of times it's going to have that arm side run
Mhm.
going inside to a righty, away to a lefty. Are
Correct.
you able to get it also on the back door, or rather front door side to a lefty as well, or is that something you're working on?
I'm working on that, but I like on that. I would like to go change up inside and then a slider away, like way out of the zone, because I feel like that's changing the eyes of the hitter, like the spin and everything. So doing that, I feel like throws off hitters, and then it being able to possibly, if I keep going a fastball up, I think that's the best pitch you can have.
Now, listen to you talk about pitching, man. I want to go back to your brother because he was a catcher. So obviously, besides the pitcher, the catcher is touching the baseball more than anybody beyond the
Mhm.
pitcher.
Yeah.
Um, you being at the time a lot younger before you got to Woodland, I'm sure you were able to kind of like what you're doing with me, just talk shop, talk about the game, talk about pitching. Because beyond a coach, who knows better to talk about pitching, pitching coach I'm talking about, than a catcher? No.
Exactly. Exactly. Matt, I would just sit down with him and just go over like different plans I would have. Like if a hitter was early on a fastball, like what pitch should I throw next? If it's a righty, if it's a lefty, like what should be my pitching sequence? Just stuff like that. You have to being able to sit down with the catchers is key to because they see it. They're always looking at the mechanics and pitchers are always looking at it too, but they're focused on executing pitches. So when catchers are able to do that, it's like it's a you take a deep breath and like thank you.
And when I think about last year, because you were a freshman, your brother was a senior, on top of
Mhm.
being able to be around him, because you were at the varsity level, correct? Your freshman
Right.
year?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. So not just being around him and see, to go through the struggles, which I'm sure you and every freshman does, even the
Hmm.
great ones, they go through a little bit of struggles, a little bit.
Yeah.
No, but to go through that with your brother there had to be not just a blessing, but then also to see this, the success that the team was having and to be around that, that had to be fantastic for you.
Yeah. No, like getting to know the culture, obviously, like as a freshman, it's like going in there with a brother there is like, okay, he's gonna set me straight. Obviously, he's gonna be a tough guy around me, but I knew that. So as the freshman, I was like, all right, I need to learn the culture. I got 4 more years. This isn't my year to shine, like anything like that. But once I got to know everyone, like we built that culture and that bond, that chemistry. It was like, okay, I belong on this level. I can pitch at this level. And throwing to Matt was actually really big.
Talk to me about that year, man, because there was a lot of highs, there were some lows, but it was a heck of a run. And I remember having, when I had Drury on, when he told me about the game. I don't remember if it was the semifinal, the quarterfinal in states, but I remember him telling me how, because it rained the day before, so you guys had to play the following day. And I remember Zach telling me that you guys were taking batting practice in the morning while people were walking into school to take their tests. I think it was the final exams or something.
Yeah.
Just take me into that, the season and then the playoff game as well.
So the 20 games, I mean, there were some great games. You know, the first St. Paul game, I think it was the second game of the year, was our St. Paul game, and we won that game on their field. It was great, like momentum builder, especially after coming off of COVID. We got shut down. Our program got shut down because of COVID. But then going into the season, I think we started pretty well. Like I think it was 10, 11, 12, something like we were undefeated going in, and then we ran into St. Paul a second time. They beat us, but going into the playoffs with only one loss into the NVLs was like, all right, we know what we can do. Like we know where we could go in playoffs. Then we lost to Naugatuck in the NVLs the first round. So I was like, all right, like let's get our stuff straight. So then we knew at practices like we're not doing that again. We are not losing in the first round of states. So going on, winning the first, second, and even the quarters was like, all right, we can go into the semifinals against Northwestern and go beat them. But the problem was like we got rained out that I think it was a Tuesday. I think we got rained out, and they were 15 minutes away from the field. Maybe we were 40. So we had that night. We had to travel back. We got home late. Then 7:30, kids are walking in. We're walking in with our baseball stuff, trying to hit. Like it's hectic, and I feel like that threw us off mentally. I think mentally they were more set to play that game that morning than us. So that's what happened. And that's unfortunately how we lost, I think.
But at the same time, being able to be a part of that, and with a lot of the team, I know obviously your brother, who was a big part of it, a couple other graduations as well, even with the departures of those seniors, to be able to bring most of that core nucleus back, I think was massive. And for any successful team, champion team, or even team that goes deep into the state tournament, you need to have obviously the talent, but you also, you have to have the players who've been around it and have that kind of level, even keel kind of pressure where they're not feeling the pressure. So do you
Mhm.
feel like being able to be back as a sophomore, it helped you and also the rest of the team as well, who, was returning?
I think it's great that we got last year under our belt. I mean, last year really because like whenever they were the seniors now, they were freshmen when they got their season cut off because of COVID. So they missed. We none of us really had any varsity experience last year. So we all went in. We all have like the same varsity experience. So getting like to know like everyone, the culture, and now going into this season, we're like, all right, we know what it takes to get to the semifinals. Let's go win the semifinals game and get to the finals, and then win another game. Like we know what it takes now to do that because if obviously you need the talent, but it's a mental game. Like if you're mentally tough throughout that whole time, you're going to get to where you want to be. I think that's how simple it is. You have to be mentally tough, and you're good.
I would say that, if you guys, and I think you guys have an opportunity to really make a noise as far as in the state tournament. And I
Mhm.
know last year, if you beat Northwestern, you would have seen Mazzucato. So I would say, oh, maybe you'll avoid a potential draft pick, high octane college arm. But then I'm looking at who you have as far as in Class M, and then I see Joe Barlow, and I
Yep.
know they got the kid who's going to Stanford. So I'm like, okay, maybe, it'll be a little difficult, but you know what? I think you guys, I know I'm looking way too far ahead and who knows how it could play out, but I think you guys, even if you face Mazzucato, you would have loved that moment. And then if and when you play Joe Barlow and if you see that high octane arm, I think you guys will welcome that too, because you guys are not cocky, but you're confident and you truly believe in your talents and abilities.
Exactly, and especially going like if we made it to the finals last year, I don't think anybody in the state would have picked Woodland to beat East Catholic. I don't know if anyone would have beat that picked us. So going into that game, it's like, what do we have to lose? Almost like we're going in there, we're gonna play loose, ego free, and just go play Woodland baseball. And that's what we're gonna do this year in the states too. That's what we're doing now. It's like let's just go in, play our game, and we're gonna win most games. We're the better team. We can go win games, and that's what I think. If we run into Joe Barlow and that Scott kid, I think we could be good. I think we can be. We're confident we can go win a game.
I want to talk about your no hitter, man, because obviously throwing no hitters, perfect games. I mean, Major League Baseball, it's a lot easier because everybody strikes out, walk, or home run.
Mhm.
That's what the game has become. I mean,
Yep.
just being honest here. I'm sure you would know,
Hmm.
but high school is a little different. I know obviously St. Paul's got the Mashers, but I saw them today. They peppered the outfield like crazy, and it was impressive. And I'm sure you guys can do the same thing as well. That game against Naugatuck, just take me into kind of, how did you feel that, leading up to that game day, just the focus, the mind, just take me into that, man.
Well, after we lost to them in the NVL's first round last year, I pitched that game and we lost. That was my only loss last year as a pitcher when I personally started. So the schedule came out early in the season. That game was circled. I wanted that game, but then leading up to it, like week out, it's everyone's texting me. They're like, "Oh, I guess like Naugatuck's coming up." I'm like, "It's just another game." Like I can't go into that game and be like, I want to go kill these guys, like because we lost to them. Like I'm not that type of guy. So it's like let's go just play Woodland baseball. I'm gonna pitch my game and we're gonna go win this game. And that's what we did. And then eventually it was just like I'm gonna groove. I'm like let's go. Like score some runs and we're gonna be good. But I mean it's took 9 innings for us to score a run, but still.
Now, I want to talk. I love to hear about, especially when I have an opportunity to talk with pitchers about perfect game, no hitters. Before I even go into the actual game itself, and I know I kind of jumped ahead, but I forgot about the bullpen side because I know just from the major league side, reading about the David Wells and the David Cones and other guys,
Hmm.
they would say that their bullpens were worse than dirt, but then they go on the bump and it's like they're unhittable For you, was your bullpen good, bad, average? What was it?
I was locked in that day. Like from as soon as I got into that field and did my jogger on the field, just everything in my warm-ups, I was like, I'm locked in. I'm ready to go pitch this game. And I, if I remember correctly, my bullpen was okay. Obviously, some pitches weren't great, but obviously once I got on the mound, it was like I'm ready. Like I'm ready to go mow these guys down and we can go win this game.
Now, because of the game and how much it meant to you and the team and such, because to say like, oh, did you know you had a no hitter? I feel like is kind of like to me, it's like, okay, I think the better question would be, because of the energy, did you even realize that there was a potential no hitter? Because your focus seems like I mean, you could have struck out 30 guys and you probably wouldn't even have known because you just wanted to beat them so bad.
Correct. I think it was like the second or third inning. Coach Banner's like, "Oh, how do you feel?" I'm like, "I feel great." I said, "Just get me one run." I said, all I need for this game is one run and we win this game." He's like, "Okay." And just I was locked in from there on. It's just like one run. I'm not going to give up any because I want to beat them that badly. And I was not worried about if I gave up a hit. It's like I don't care. I want to just go win this game. But then it was like the seventh, eighth inning was hitting me like, all right, I don't want to like think it or anything. I don't want anybody to tell me like the superstitious part of it. But I was like, all right, let's go get a no hitter now because it was so close.
And you not only got the no hitter, but you also got the win as well to see
Mhm.
the run being scored. Now the player that was it that hit it or the one that scored, was it Lato, right?
Lato hit the ball.
Okay, that's what I thought. Now his father is also the football coach, as you guys know, and they also play football. So that's pretty cool to see a coach's son on the football side get that big time hit. You guys, and I think he's only a freshman, no?
No, he's a senior.
Or he's a senior. Okay, I
He has a
apologize.
brother. He has a brother though. That's a freshman.
Okay, then I apologize to the older one. I got them mixed up, but that's still pretty cool as a senior because, especially when you talked about how much time was missed because of COVID, as you
Mm-hmm.
spoke about with all the lag time because of the coronavirus, to be able to get that big hit, that must have just been like cloud nine for everybody.
Mm-hmm. I was actually on first base when it was happening. We had first and second. I was on first, and it was actually hit to first base. They bobbled it. I was like, all right, like let's send them. Like let's go. Let's go get this game because when I was on first, like I was like the first base coach Frankie told me, he's like, you
Mhm.
don't have any pitches left. I'm like, all right, like let's go win this game then right now. We're not going to a 10th inning. So we hit that ball and I see Coach Banner because Giambra was on second. I see Coach Banner like, let's go, let's go. I'm like, all right. I'm like, he's gonna score and we're gonna win this game. And then like seeing the videos of it all, like Coach Banner's jumping up and down. We're all jumping up and down. It's like, yes, like we beat Naugatuck. Like, let's go.
There's also too no better video to be able to watch than seeing Boehner jump for joy.
Mm-hmm.
That's for
That's right.
sure.
Yeah.
Because love Coach Boehner, love him. I think he's
I
one of the better guys in the NVL, and I know you guys, especially too, because he's a Woodland guy through and through. You know,
mm-hmm.
I could see you guys really do play for him, and that moment was fantastic. I know after that, there's been a couple little bit losses, hiccups here and there. For yourself. We're not going to talk about exactly the injury because I don't know if anybody knows. They don't need to know, but I know you're dealing with something. Um, do you feel like that kind of maybe going through this, not to say it's a good thing, but it allows you to be able to figure out as far as what is wrong now. So that way, because I know you're committed to Bryant, you want to be able to stay healthy and being able to continue your journey on the bump. So
Mm-hmm.
finding it out now prevents hopefully a more dangerous injury later on.
Correct. I obviously, I think we're like 11-4. We have 4 losses, but figuring out the injury now and not getting it in states is bigger. And I want to be healthy. Obviously, now I want to go help the team now and go get on the mountain again. But being healthy for states and for NVLs is way more important than being healthy for the St. Paul game on Monday or a Seymour on next Friday. Like I want to go win those games, but I also want to go win a state championship. And obviously, the state championship is more important. So I'll do my physical therapy and all that and get ready for the state run.
No, Mike, it's great to be able to have you on here. Before I let you go, we talked about how you committed to Brian. You're only a sophomore, so committing that early not only shows what they think of you, but also the kind of ceiling that you really have. Did you ever think if you were to talk to your younger self, 10, 11-year-old young Belcher, little Belcher,
Mm-hmm.
uh, would you ever have thought like, wow, I would commit to a high division in, well, I think they play in the NEC, right, Brian?
Yeah. Hmm.
So would you have ever thought that a younger self, that you would have thought you'd be committing that early?
I honestly wouldn't. I think it would take a lot longer to do that. But I also like at that young age, I was like, all right, I want to play baseball as far as I can go. And that's I still say that now. When everyone asks me, like, oh, what do you want to do with baseball? I'm like, I just want to play until I can't play anymore. And that's all you got to look at it as, I think, is that, and it's same thing with the seniors, like just play until you can't play anymore. And I think that's what we need to hear. I think that's what little kids need to hear too. Just play, and wherever that takes you, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a great ride.
Mike, it was a pleasure to be able to talk with you. I appreciate Coach Boehner allowing you to be able to come on, and also your family as well. This was great conversation. I could talk to you forever. I hope you'll be willing to come back on sometime in the future, because I could, again, a lot of fun being able to talk with you, man.
Of course. Thank you. I
No,
appreciate it.
no problem. That'll wrap things up here in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm our Jeremy. Find them all. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and be well.